I found myself on top of a slippery, mossy rock. I was stuck between a rock and a hard place. Well, actually, in my case, it was a rock and a hard fall. How did I find myself stuck on this rock? Well, it was the second time ever outdoor lead climbing for me. Now, as you lead climb, they're giving you rope as you're climbing up. I chose to climb up to the right, and I clipped in the last straw. I was ready to clip into the top rope bolt, but I couldn't see it. So I was looking around, and finally I saw it clear over to the left. I decided to traverse across to reach the top bolt. And I tried to unscrew the bolt so that I could put my rope in there and safely be lowered to the ground. But the bolt was frozen. I couldn't get it open, therefore I couldn't put the rope through. In that moment, I knew I had two options. I could traverse back over, back to my last draw, because if I slipped without getting there, I was going to swing into the face of the rock. Or I could climb up and over and try to rework the bolt. Now, I didn't feel confident in my climbing ability to traverse back over, so I chose to go up and over. I flipped the bolt over and was trying to get it unscrewed. I couldn't get it unscrewed. I'm sitting there, it is super windy, and I'm shaking. I'm trying to untie my rope while shaking, knowing that if I make one wrong move, I'm going to slip and hit the ground. I successfully was able to untie and retie into the top bolts so that I could get lowered down, as you can tell because I am talking to you today. But in that moment, I thought I was prepared. Instead of letting that moment deter me from doing something that I love to do, it instead encouraged me to go home, do a little bit more research, and be safer doing something that I love.
All right, that was good. It was right around 2 minutes and 3 seconds. So right around the time that we need to be. I thought you did really good. You talked a little bit more. You talked with a little bit better pace, I think, than you did last time. I think last time you might have seemed like you were maybe a little bit rushed or feeling like you needed to go a little bit quicker. But you did good. I thought you brought up the really good points or you brought up a good turning point when you were talking about how the screw got frozen and you couldn't do anything about it, and you thought about traversing, but you couldn't. But and the story obviously was impactful because it's something that could have affected your life and killed you. But I thought you did really good on. Sorry, I thought you did really good on delivering. Your nervousness. I thought you seemed calm. You seemed. I'm really not sure what to critique. Honestly, a critique on it because last time when we did it, you did seem a little bit nervous, but I think you fixed that this time, and it seemed really well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, as I said before, I think your story has the four contents that the assignment needed. It has a good story also with a nice ending, and how you drive us through your story, right? Bring us to your feelings, right? To what actually you felt during that time, and yeah, we're glad that you could overcome that challenge in your life. So, like Greg said, I think this time flow a bit better also, right? You did good manners with your hands, right? So that helped as well. So I think that you did a good job. I had no opportunities for improvement on your speech. You really did a good job.
Thank you.
Now I think it's Greg's turn, but Greg, we don't see there you
Or
go, you're back on.
wait, what?
Sorry, we missed your video for a bit.
Oh, am I good right
Now you
now?
are back on. Yes, you're back on now.
Okay, let's hope it lasts for 2 more minutes. Uh, all right. So it was 2017, pre-COVID, before all the craziness. I was deployed overseas, and I should preface this by saying that I work as a field engineer. My job is to keep a line of sight in satellite communications between the ground and the Army UAV, which is a unmanned aerial vehicle. I needed to wake up I ended up waking up around 2 hours before my shift starts, but that's only because someone knocked on my door. Ended up being my counterpart saying that he needed help. He couldn't get linked back with the bird. My first thought was, really, you're waking me up because you can't get linked back with the bird? It happens more often than you can think. However, once I got into work, I did realize the magnitude of the situation. The aircraft was actually really, really low on fuel. Every single signs of communication between the ground and the bird were just non-existent. And anything I tried to do to be able to recover the actual link did not work. We spent about 2 hours trying to get the link back, up until the point that the bird crashed in the ground. During that whole entire time, I was thinking to myself, what the heck? What if this bird crashes? What's going to happen? And once it did, the thoughts of failure, letting people down, and even losing my job ran through my head. However, in the end, after writing a letter for the investigation team on what happened, it was determined that the cause was hardware failure and nothing that I could have done. So what I took away from the incident was, no matter how hard you try, and no matter how many times you go over a scenario in your head, sometimes things are simply out of your control, and that's okay. All right, cool.
Okay. So besides the technical challenges, and I think that on everything that you do, practice is mastery, right? So these many times that you practice help you, help you a lot on flow your story better, right? And as I said at the beginning, your story is very strong, okay, on about the facts. And also, I really like your conclusion, right? That sometimes you really try to make things happen, but sometimes you can't, besides your best effort.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that like try if sometimes if the next time is possible, if you could stand also next time, right? I totally understand your situation right now, but that may help a lot to express your emotions. Okay?
Yeah, that's true. All right. Thanks, Juan.
You're welcome, Greg.
Yeah, Greg, that time, I guess I should preface, right? Greg had some technical difficulties and I had some technical difficulties. So Greg got to practice a few times, and that one was by far the best. You seemed very natural, relaxed. It actually made for the story to even resonate more and be more impactful. You used different wording that I could actually relate to a little bit more, so you did a really good job. I understood the impact of the story really well this time, so great job. The only thing was, I know that your camera is in a weird spot, but I did notice a lot of kind of looking around. So that's just something, you know, with the recordings just to be conscious of. But other than that, that was really good. Good job.
About 12 years ago, I accepted a job with a German company. The first assignment was to spend about 9 months in that country building a series of automated machines to be part of a manufacturing assembly line, which operations were going to be installed in Costa Rica. One of the things that I really enjoyed was to be located at Nuremberg, where is a city, and the city where the automated machines were built was about 60 kilometers east into Czech Republic. For 9 months, I drove 3 to 4 times a week into that city. During one of those trips, a black Audi passed me by, get in the front of me, and then turned on a sign on the rear shield that displayed the German word Folgen. That happened approximately 2 to 3 months after I traveled to Germany, and I was starting to learn the language back then. So I turned my left directional light, pushed the gas pedal all the way through, and just passed him by. About 5 minutes after, the same black Audi was in front of me one more time, the same sign, and I decided to pass him one more time. I started to get scared about the situation. The third time, he came again, got in the front of me. When I tried to pass him, he was doing evasive maneuvers, and I had to pull over and stop. I was lucky because it was the German police. Then they inspected the whole car, making sure that it was everything fine. And I was just picked by random inspection. Then they said you could go. Since that moment, I won't forget what folgen means, and that means follow. So what I learned from that experience it was no matter how stressful moment you are, thinking clear will guide you to the right choice. Okay.
Good. Yeah. Once again, really, really good detail. I was very impactful learning about what the word meant. So that was really good. You didn't maneuver in your chair like you did before, so you took that, and that was perfect. The eyes went away from the camera a little bit, so just also be conscious of that. I know it's a lot, like sit still, be natural, and look at the camera, but I think you did a really good job, and your gestures were very natural. So just the eyes on the camera, and I think you're perfect.
Okay. Nicole, did you time my time, my speech?
You were at 138.
158.
Or yeah,
15.
58. Sorry.
Right on the money. I
Yep.
was.
Good.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Nicole.
All right, Juan, I thought you did a really good job, honestly. I thought that you were more poised, you were focused. Your story was definitely balanced. It was from the beginning to the end. You told your story concisely and it was clear. I thought you did a really, really good job this time. You did a good job last time, but I just thought this time you were a little more clear and concise. And the only thing I would say is exactly what Nicole was saying, is that you do kind of what I do. Sometimes you might look down or look away from the camera, you know, which is kind of hard, because you're giving a speech to a camera when usually you might be giving speech to people and you're looking around the audience. So, a little different. But the only thing I would say is that maybe just try to keep straightforward. But it's hard to do, as I well understand. But overall, you did a really good job.
Okay. Mission accomplished then.
Yes. Great work, everyone.